was it the Army surplus?
Yeah. That was good. Medal of Valor. Of course, Purple Heart, because I got wounded. Medal of Valor with Oak Leaf. This is because I'm a Master Peace Officer. License, of course, I'm a bicycle guy. This is Scott Monet's number. ID number, I'm on the honor scale. This is, one of these is for good conduct. And I don't know one of them, but this one here, they don't have a 20-year deal yet, so I've been a police officer for like 22 years. So impressive. Hey.
Thank you, sir. You got it. All right.
What you have gun here, huh?
Man, I got
serious stuff.
Alright, up against the wall. Sorry it's hot, but I had to turn the air conditioner off.
It's what?
I'm sorry it's hot, but I had to turn the air conditioner off because you just stand right.
Stand?
Yeah. And
Sound check, testing.
I checked it and it's good.
It's muy bueno.
I just want you to, briefly explain your name. Hanford. Police Department. Hanford is here. It's just kind of a community.
Are we rolling?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. There's no tally light on this. Hi, my name is Officer Mark Dillon. I'm a police officer with the city of Hanford. That is located in the San Joaquin Valley, Hanford, California. About the middle of the state, both north, south, east, and west.
What kind of community is it?
Pardon?
What kind of community is it? How big is it? What's the...
Community size, we're looking at approximately 45,000 people. We service probably closer to 50, the volume of people that come into the community. This town has grown drastically, approximately 1,000 to 2,000 people over the last several years, and just keeps expanding every year.
Tell me what you think kids get out of going to the Junior Police Academy. I mean, there's some people who would say, what are you, this is professional skills. Why are you teaching kids this? Make your own defense for what kids get out of this course.
The Junior Police Academy, first of all, I've been involved with youth educational programs in our community for a number of years. Everything from DARE, Stop on a Dime, several other programs that we've initiated in the community I've been active with. The Junior Police Academy we've had going on for a couple years now, and the kids, it's just the friendships and the team building that is created out of that. These kids, it's kind of like a construction set. I'm just looking at these kids. They come in. Some of them are taking it because it's just an extra class to take. And then once they realize what's involved, it changes them from just another kid on campus to somebody that has some insight about what's going on in the world. Not just their smaller world, but the world of the community that they live in. Not only the positive things that they're dealing with, but of course the negative things that some of them are dealing with, some of them aren't. The friendships that are created with these youth is just phenomenal. It's very common to be walking on campus at high school level and have students just walk up to you and start talking. We've had several students from the past years be our greatest promoters of the Junior Police Academy because they're telling everybody, gosh, you guys got to try this. This is really an awesome program. We try to make it as hands-on as possible. And the program itself, the kids just get a tremendous out of it. Not only that why we are there, but it's not us against them. It's us together to make our community a safer place, better place to live.
Perfect. What type of officer is going to be will excel in being an instructor for JPA? What does he need to have?
As far as an instructor, well, first of all, having an interest in working with the youth, which, as I said earlier, I've always had a real interest in that because I expect children to fail. And that's one of the reasons why adults are there, is to correct that behavior. When we see a child make a mistake, you correct it. It's just that simple. And as these kids grow in these agencies or in these programs, it actually helps you become a better instructor also. I've had the fortune of working with youth for so many years. You see the kids grow in ways that I just can't. Sometimes I mean, thinking about it and stuff is just absolutely phenomenal. The directions they go. You have to have a true desire to work with children, work with these young, in some cases, almost adults at high school level. These students, they're sponges. They want knowledge, and they'll take the good and the bad. So by giving them all the concepts of what we deal with in law enforcement, kind of overpowers the bad and gives them so much to work with. To be an instructor, it helps taking some simple classes on the educational process of learning. That helps. Benefits even walking into a room involving second or third graders. You can walk into those rooms and watch the instructor. And as an instructor, you can go to any school district and ask, I would like to observe a teacher. They will set up where you can do a visitation and just sit back and watch a teacher. And once you have the basic understandings and talking to those teachers on how to do it and how to do it better, it helps you when you walk into a classroom and subsequently go to take over that class and realize all those little eyes that are looking at you are looking for answers. And now, can you deliver it in such a way where they can absorb it?
All right. Did you have any particular one of the law enforcement agencies represented as the islands that you wanted to talk about, or do you want to talk about just being a police officer?
Question again?
We had the islands, FEMA, Coast Guard, Fire, and K-9.
Okay.
And we have about all of them covered. Would you like to just talk about being a police officer, or is there one of them that you actually have been in maybe before, where you would know more than the other people? Or if you've been in the Coast Guard, I want you to talk about that one. But if not,
I was in the Air Force.
The Air Force, okay.
Right.
Then just talk about what it takes to be give me your words of wisdom about what it is to be what it takes to be a good police officer, the personal attributes.
Okay. As far as police work in general, over the years that I've been a police officer, and even when I contemplated becoming a police officer, that was one of the questions that they asked me in my role interview was, first of all, why? Why do you want to do this? And subsequently my answer was very clear and concise. It was, this is the community I've grown up in. This is the community that I have a lot of ties with, and I want to do what I can to make it better. When I became a police officer in my hometown, at first it was a little more difficult than I thought because I knew a lot of people. And I didn't realize until I became a police officer, some of those people make some really bad choices. And so you are dealing with past acquaintances that have been positive, and now all of a sudden they're negative. So that was my challenge. After overcoming that, it was realizing that, hey, they're people first. And no matter what they do, what their occupation is, they're people first, and they make mistakes. So those mistakes need to be corrected to make our community just a safer place. My goal being a police officer in my hometown is to make a better spot for my family and friends of my family and people I still don't know yet that I'm meeting daily to have just a better place to live.
Perfect.
Done.
So, name, department, in the Junior Police Academy program gives children.
Okay.
I'm Officer Jim Adams, Hanford Police Department, Hanford, California. I believe the greatest success we enjoy in our program is the relationships that we build between the youth of our community and their police department. I think that those kids who go through our program get a chance to know the officers of their community on a different level. They get a chance to see them as teachers, as mentors, and as human beings. And those kids who spend, 4 hours a day, 15 hours, or for 15 days with us, they get to know us. They get to know an awful lot about us because we share with them. We open up, we kind of drop that shield that law enforcement officers carry around, and they get to know us as human beings. Whereas a kid who doesn't take our class, who doesn't get to spend that kind of time with us, they see the public perception of the officer. They see the officer as someone who is going to do something to them if they do something wrong, rather than a person who wants to do something for them. So I think that's probably the biggest success that we get with our kids, is that we do develop a relationship with these kids. And the byproduct of that is, once you have a relationship with a kid, you have the right in their mind to correct them when they're doing something wrong. If there's a bond there, if there's a respect level there, if there's a relationship, then in their minds you are in the right to tell them when they're doing something wrong. And they take it to heart. Whereas a kid who doesn't know you and you don't know him, he may just blow you off. But because you have that relationship, they tend to take it to heart.
I want you to talk about for the training aisles. I just want you to talk about that.
I didn't pick one.
Huh? Yeah, I don't know. I'll give him pick one for you.
Okay.
And I need someone to talk about what it means to be what it takes to be a good cop. Let's say you're a child and you're thinking about being a police officer. You don't know whether you have the right qualifications to be one to flourish at the job. What do you need in order to, before you even go into it, what qualities do you need to be a good police officer?
I think absolutely essential quality to law enforcement, and I don't know that this is stressed enough in the academies around the country, but I believe it's got to be compassion. If you're in a service-oriented profession, you have to care about other people. If you're going to meet the definition of that of a servant of the people, you have to care about their situation that they're in. You have to empathize with them, and to do that, I believe the essential quality is compassion. Many times law enforcement officers get caught up in this us versus them mentality. If you're not a cop, you're them. And I think when we departmentalize ourselves, we cut ourselves off from those people of the community that we're there to serve. And I think when we do that, it creates a big injustice not only to ourselves, but to the community at large as well. Because if you don't care about those people that you're serving, you're not going to be the best police officer that you could be. So I would say it definitely has to boil down to compassion.
Perfect. That's good. Go ahead.
Okay. Corey Houston with Victoria County Sheriff's Office. Victoria County is roughly 888 square miles, located in the Golden Crescent region of Texas. We're about 25 miles from the Gulf Coast. Centrally located, we're about 115 miles from Houston, from San Antonio and Corpus Christi. Rural community, a lot of farming. The major city in Victoria is Victoria, with a population of roughly 65,000 people. Two major law enforcement agencies are represented with the Victoria Sheriff's Office, as well as Victoria Police Department.
Well, tell me about the Junior Police Academy there. Why do you think that's made a difference in your community?
The Junior Police Academy of Victoria County started 3 years ago with the beginning of the after-school program. It gave us an opportunity not just with DARE, not just with our school resource officers, but as regular officers off the street, bringing them in as instructors, as guest speakers. It gave them an opportunity to have some face time with the kids, in our case in high school. It really brought us closer together as not just mentors, but a true camaraderie that before the kids wouldn't look at you, wouldn't say hi, wouldn't take the time of day. You were the authority figure, and it was left at that. To where now we can walk through the campus, we can walk through the mall, on the streets, and if they recognize us, they come up, they talk to us. Hey, how you doing? How's the program? What's new? Hey, this is what's going on with me. And it's just an entirely different level that we really haven't witnessed before.
How is that different than, say, an Explorer program, or, I mean, why is it, is there a difference between the two? Or?
There is. The JPA really gives us the opportunity to get to know the kids on a consistent basis. We start off hot and heavy. We go in and teach the kids some basics about law enforcement, the history, and then go into some localized issues that concern specifically them. And that gives us a chance to bring it down to their level and explain whatever they need explaining. And it just gives us a greater time frame than the other programs that we've tried in the past or even have going on at this point. The kids just seem to respond. The curriculum is developed with them in mind, with hands-on as much as possible, and their response has just been phenomenal.
Tell me a little bit about, if I want to understand what a sheriff is, or a deputy in the sheriff's department.
Okay. In the state of Texas, sheriff's deputies, or the office of sheriff, is an elected position. The sheriff then appoints deputies. What differs between a sheriff's department and police department is the Texas Constitution specifically sets out that sheriffs are responsible for jails, among other things. But a jail is definitely the sheriff's responsibility, so that is where the majority of our manpower and our focus goes to. We do have, of course, investigations. We have patrol officers. We also have a civil department, which differs from the majority of police departments. The fact that we handle landlord-tenant disputes, we handle subpoenas for court, anything that's not criminal in nature and requires judicial intervention goes through our civil department, and that is a very unique in the state of Texas for sheriff's departments.
What's it take to be a good sheriff or deputy?
It takes dedication. It takes a knowledge of the people that you're serving. It takes compassion. It takes a willingness on your behalf to go out and involve the community. We can't solve the problems all ourselves. We have to have the community support, and that goes anywhere from grade school children to the senior citizens. We have to have their support and their cooperation to keep our neighborhoods and our communities safe.
Did you ever think, when you go back to third grade, if someone said, hey, you're going to be a deputy, would that have surprised you?
Absolutely. Never even really thought about it till late in high school, that it was even a real interest. Enjoyed math and other sciences and things of that nature. It was surprising when I became an officer that all those things you use every day. But in third grade, it would have surprised me. I was still of the mentality that an officer was someone who was set over here and not someone that you conversed with or could go talk to. They handled the problems, they gave the tickets and arrested people, and that was it. And that mentality has completely changed.
Cool. That's what I wanted. Perfect.
Okay. I'm Officer James Taylor with the Goshen Township Police Department, which is located about 30 miles northeast of Cincinnati. It's a rural type community, approximately about 24,000 people. Still a big farming community on the verge of exploding into a suburb. What else? Do you want to? I'm sorry.
That was perfect.
Okay.
Why? How did the Junior Police Academy get started, real briefly, and then just go ahead and tell me how it got started.
Okay. In 1999, I started in the schools, and one of the officers that was currently in the schools, he was a high school officer, wanted to start the Junior Police Academy. He got a brochure on your program, and he gave it to me and says, "Here, take it and run with it." So, of course, I did. And it's really nice about the program is you can expand any way you want on the program. It just, you gave us the guidelines to go with, and then we run from there. And what I did was, in order to sell it to the school, I tried to encompass it into the curriculum as far as proficiencies, because proficiencies is a real big thing in Ohio as far as relating, any kind of program to the actual schoolwork, and that's what I did there. By bringing in guest speakers, traffic investigation and crime scene investigation kind of goes into math and science, report writing in English, and what have you like that. Now, like I said, what's real nice is you give the guidelines there, and the big thing with the schools is they want a lesson plan. I mean, you provide that with the Junior Police Academy package.
Tell me if you have a child that's been through the Junior Police Academy and one who hasn't, what sensibilities does the child who's been through it have that maybe the other one doesn't?
I think one of the biggest things I express in my Junior Police Academy cadets is leadership by example. You are a chosen few. You should set an example for these other juveniles to follow, your friends, your peers to follow. And there's I think a sense of respect for the school staff that after the program or during the program, the kids gain for the staff, because then they sit back and they see how their other peers act, and they try to set an example as far as, hey, don't do that. Hey, don't disrespect the teacher or what have you. And it kind of spreads. Next year will be my first junior